Hey guys, I want to make a follow-up video, but this time with my son and interview him as it relates to the dashcam video that's been going viral over the last couple of years. Over the past week, it started taking off on YouTube again and getting a lot more comments and questions, which I really enjoy kind of reading the comments. And after this interview, I'm going to go through some of those comments and give my thoughts because some of them are funny, some of them are really idiotic, and I think that'll be fun to go through. However, a lot of folks have been wanting to hear from my son and have questions for them. So we want to get those questions answered, fill in some information as it relates to that incident that happened 2.5 years ago. So it's been a while. He's almost 18 right now. He'll turn 18 this summer, and he's had a lot more driving experience since then. So without further ado, I have some questions I kind of wrote out, and we'll get his response and kind of see what he says. So before we begin, he has some thoughts of his own.
Something I've been seeing a lot in a lot of the comments that I find a little strange is people are concerned that I was being abused. And I would like to clarify that I was not being abused or neglected in any kind of way. It was my silly reaction to the whole incident, which I can get into that in a second.
So, yeah, well, the very first question, and kind of probably the top two questions, one was, why didn't you stop?
Okay, well that is it was like my first time driving. It's been like 2 years, and I was eventually going to stop. I think I did. It's just the reason why is just because I misjudged braking distance. I didn't brake hard enough. That was a rookie mistake.
It was his first time driving, so we had practiced in the parking lot, but braking wasn't one of the things that occurred to me to practice with him, right? Also, it is true that my car, the brakes, you really got to kind of push on them before it starts to brake and slow down. So it's different from my wife's car, where the brakes are a little more responsive. There is differences between these cars, and so there's some of that going on as well. But probably the number one question I got in the comments is, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah, that's been a big point of contention for a lot of people. And I didn't think, well, for one, it's because I didn't know I was making content for the internet. So, but two, it was I didn't have anything. My thought process is I didn't have anything to say. It was like, yeah, I messed up. I didn't brake, and I was just like, well, that was dumb. I'm not gonna do that again. And I didn't. And as you were talking the whole time, I just didn't feel like saying anything because it would have just been like stating the obvious, like, oh yeah, I almost hit that cop. So that's why I started talking near the end. It's because you started making jokes, and I found it a little funny, and I was a little embarrassed. So I just didn't want to say anything because it was like, yeah, I messed up. Maybe I should have said something like, my bad, but that's just how I reacted to the situation.
Yeah. So obviously for that video, I blurred his face because I wasn't trying to embarrass him. I was mostly just laughing at my reaction and response. But if you watch the unblurred video, which maybe 10 years from now I'll put it out there if he's cool with it, but in that video you can see he actually goes to start talking at one point, but I kept on kind of going and talking, right? Which leads to my next question is, and some people in the comments think this happened, is did I overreact?
Yeah, that is it may have been a little bit of an overreaction, if I'm being honest. But if I was in that situation, I would have just placed the importance of braking. And that's just the way that you decided to place that importance. It was just like, oh, almost hit a cop. Oh, man, that would have been bad. And then it just mostly turned into jokes after like a minute or two. So it wasn't really that much of an overreaction, which I know a lot of people who have seen that clip have not seen the full thing.
Right.
They've only seen the first 30 seconds to maybe a minute. Because that was the TikTok clip.
Exactly.
And the people that, it was not our fault that circulated around like that. It was just people that clipped it and shipped it out on like TikTok and all those things.
Exactly. Right.
So,
yeah. Yeah, so the clip that had tens of millions of views on TikTok and Reddit and Instagram and Snapchat and all that was just the quick, like, 10-second video where all you saw was me yelling break and then kind of yelling at him, I guess. But I don't know. That was just how I reacted. You know, I don't know. I wasn't trying to berate him or whatever, but you know, we all learn from driving and sometimes you make mistakes, and thankfully, you know, he didn't hit him, so that's key. So maybe I overreacted, but we prevented an accident, I think. So better safe than sorry from that standpoint. A lot of people are you know, occasionally I'll see comments saying he probably failed his driving test and this kid's going to get in accidents and all that stuff. So do you have your driver's license, and have you been in an accident since then?
So to start, I was a part of a like 5-day, essentially like 1 day a week driving course. And pretty much 90% of that is they tell you how to pass the driving instructor thing. So yes, I took my driving test and I passed the first time with flying colors. I have my license now. No, I've not been in an accident. Have I made mistakes on the road? I think everyone has.
Right. Yeah.
But I've not been in any accident.
So honestly, I think having that incident happen is kind of ingrained in them. So I think that, and we actually watch like car crash videos on YouTube.
Those help.
And those help. Yeah. Because it'd be like, oh, who's at fault? You know, this guy was being an idiot. He's the one that did this, that, and the other thing, right? So yeah, do you have more to say?
Yeah, you see main points of failure. Like in a machine, you can tell what's going wrong in every scenario. A lot of not looking and not looking at intersections is mostly what it is. You just have to be paying attention all the time. I'm telling you, if you're a new driver, watch car crash compilations. You'll see what they did wrong.
Yep. This is true. So one comment was saying that you were too far back from the steering wheel and your seat was too far back. I think that's true. So have you adjusted your kind of position, or have you done anything different from when you first started? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely something you don't consider when you're first driving, is the way you're positioned in the car, in a position you're comfortable with. I've developed my own. It may not be the greatest thing. I'm not 10 and 2. I ride with the under handles with my elbows planted, but I'm so tall. I push the seat back to get as much leg room, and I raise my chair up so it's the most comfortable way to drive for me. So, but yeah, that's definitely something you have to fall into. And you know, granted, it's my first time driving, and I didn't move the seat that was positioned for, you know, my dad. So my arms are farther out and locked, and there's just things you just don't, like, you have to gradually learn and things like that.
Yep. So what are your thoughts about being in a viral video, even though your face is blurred? What are your friends or the people that know that that's you in the video? What do they say to you? Do you get teased about it? You know, I don't know. What's your overall kind of thoughts on the video?
So to start, there's a small group of people that knows that's me. It's mostly just like family members, my church, maybe like a small few coworkers that I've told just because it's funny. It's funny to be like, hey, I'm that guy in that popular video. And then like a few close friends. And for the most, especially right at the start, I would get teased a lot. You know, people repeating break, break, break at me and like making snide comments. Not malicious, but just like, you break this time, like stupid stuff like that, and I would just always roll my eyes but it's really it's not necessarily cathartic, but it's just kind of surprising seeing yourself, at least even blurred. That was me at one point, just everywhere. Like I remember watching a video and then I just popped up and I was like, why am I here? Why am I in this like video that I'm watching right now? It's like really strange.
In a compilation video, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
it's not as striking if I was it would be more striking if I was unblurred. Like, oh dang, But
Right.
that's pretty much how I feel about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's most of my initial questions or questions that people comment in the chat and whatnot. So is there any other final thoughts and anything you want to share? Or we kind of just summed it up a little bit right there, but yeah, is there anything else?
I'd say that's mostly everything to have covered. I just want to say shout out to all the funny comments and the stories that get posted on that video. It's pretty interesting to see how many people agree. And no, I will not become on camera right now. That's about it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe at some point, like I said, a few more years from now, we can post the unedited one. It's really not much different. You're just going to see him, shocked and nervous. I mean, he was scared, I mean, one, his dad just was yelling at him, which I don't do very often. And then two, he almost hit a cop, right? Or hit a car. It doesn't matter if it was a cop or not. I mean, you don't want to hit anyone. But all right, so that's all we got for you. I hope you enjoyed it and got my son's perspective on this. So thanks for watching.